Chapter 7. Spider-Man No More. Harry sat at the bar in the planetarium. "You're drinking too much, Harry," said Peter. "It's a party," said Harry. "And don't forget, I've just lost all my money on a crazy scientist. And then there's Spider-Man." "Let's not talk about him tonight, Harry." "Every night, Peter," said Harry. "Until I find him, I can only think about Spider-Man." "Parker!" shouted Jonah Jameson across the room. "Parker, I'm not paying you to sit at the bar all evening. Take photos. Take more photos. Take pictures of me and my wife with the city's most important people." Just then, a woman spoke into a microphone. "Good evening, everyone," she said. "Tonight, the Science Library of New York welcomes a special American hero. The first man to play football on the moon. The great, the fine, the good-looking Captain John Jameson." The band played, and John Jameson came down some stairs. Peter was ready with his camera. But he couldn't take the picture. MJ was standing next to John Jameson, with her arm in his. She smiled as she looked at all the faces, but then she saw Peter. Later, Peter found MJ outside the party. "Hi," he said. "Oh, you," she said. "Listen, I'm sorry," he said. "There was trouble on the way to the theatre." She stopped him. "I don't know you," she said angrily, "and I can't think about you anymore. It hurts too much. Can I get you a drink? I'm with John. He'll get my drink. John has seen my show 5 times. Harry has seen it. Aunt May has seen it. My ill mother has seen it. Even my father has seen it. But my best friend? Oh no, he can't get to a theatre for 8 o'clock. After all these years, he's just an empty seat to me." A little later, John Jameson took the microphone. "I just want you all to know," he said, "the beautiful Miss Mary Jane Watson has just agreed to be my wife." MJ went up to John and kissed him. "Shoot the picture, Parker," said Jonah Jameson. "Shoot the picture!" Peter lifted the camera and took the picture, but he could only think about MJ. Was she lost to him now? He ran outside. He changed into his Spider-Man clothes and started to swing through the city. He felt better, but not for long. Suddenly there was no more webbing. He crashed down to the street. He tried again to shoot some webbing, but nothing happened. "Why is this happening to me?" he asked. He tried to go up a wall, but he crashed down again. He sat there for a moment. He saw an old Daily Bugle next to him. His Spider-Man photo was on the front page. The story was about Spider-Man and Doc Ock at the bank. They were taking the money together. Late that night, there was a storm in the city. Peter couldn't sleep. He was thinking about Uncle Ben. He thought about Uncle Ben's words, the words he said on the day he died. "With great power comes great responsibility." "I can't live your dreams anymore, Uncle Ben," said Peter. "I can't be Spider-Man. I want a life of my own." Peter got dressed. He took his Spider-Man clothes with him and went out. He came to a small street and threw his Spider-Man clothes away. "Spider-Man no more," he thought, and he went home. Chapter 8. An Ordinary Life. Peter sat in the theatre and watched MJ. He was enjoying the play so much. At one moment, MJ saw Peter. They smiled at each other, and for a few seconds she forgot her lines. After the play, they walked through Chinatown together. "You were so wonderful," he said. "You look different," she said. Well, I cleaned my shoes. I washed my clothes. I did my homework. I do my homework now. Do you want to get some Chinese food? Peter, I'm getting married. You once said to me, I love you. Back then, I couldn't be with you. There were things I had to do, but I don't have to do them now. You're too late, she said. Will you think about it? Think about what? You and me. There never was a you and me, Peter. You don't understand. I'm not an empty seat anymore. I'm different. I have to go. MJ got into a taxi. She looked back at Peter. You are different, she said, and closed the door. Betty Brandt took the street cleaner into Jonah Jameson's office. He was carrying something in a brown paper bag. He put the bag on Jameson's desk and took out Spider-Man's clothes. Where did you get those? Shouted Robbie Robertson, Jameson's number 2 at the Daily Bugle. In the street, the man explained. Jameson couldn't believe his eyes. Spider-Man no more? This was front-page news. I'll give you $50 for them, he said. Only $50? Said the street cleaner. All right, $100. Miss Brandt, take this man away and give him his money. It was 2 years since Uncle Ben died. Peter sat at the table in Aunt May's home, and she gave him a cup of tea. It was all my fault, Peter, she said. You wanted to go by train that day. Uncle Ben wanted to drive you, and I didn't stop him. Peter decided to tell her. Aunt May, it was my fault, said Peter. I didn't go to the library that day. I went somewhere else. To win some money. To buy a car. I wanted to look good for MJ. It happened so fast. I won the money, but the guy didn't pay me. Then another man took all the money. I didn't try to stop him. I let him go. He wanted a car. He tried to take Uncle Ben's. Uncle Ben said no, and the man shot him. I held Uncle Ben's hand when he died. Peter was crying now, and he took Aunt May's hand. I've tried to tell you so many times, he said. But Aunt May took her hand away. She had no words to speak. She looked sadly at Peter. Then she stood up and went quietly upstairs. Down by the Hudson River, Doc Ock was finishing his new fusion reactor. He stood back and looked at his work. Just one more little job, he said. All I need now is the tritium. Harry Osborn was in his father's old room. He was looking at newspaper stories about Spider-Man, and he was drinking. Suddenly there was a loud noise outside. Thump! And then another. Thump! Harry went outside. Suddenly a metal arm appeared. It pushed Harry to the ground. Hello, Harry, said Doc Ock. Otto, what do you want? Tritium, but I need more of it this time. Ock took Harry with one of the arms and held him out over the street. The street was a long way down. Stop! Cried Harry. Bring me Spider-Man, alive. Then I'll give you the tritium. How do I find him? Asked Ock. Peter Parker, said Harry. He takes pictures of Spider-Man for the Bugle. He can tell you. Ock was already on his way. Don't hurt Peter, Harry shouted after him. But Doc Ock wasn't listening. Chapter 9. Where is Spider-Man? Peter walked along the street. It was cold, and he pulled his coat around him. He saw a newspaper. Crime up 75%, it said. Where is Spider-Man now? And then he heard people shouting. People were running past him. He followed them and saw a building on fire. Peter was going to take off his street clothes, and then he remembered. He was Spider-Man no more. "There's a child on the second floor," someone cried. The firefighters weren't there yet. Spider-Man no more, thought Peter. But Peter Parker can still help. He ran quickly into the building. Inside, he heard the child crying. The heat was terrible. Peter found the little girl and carried her down the stairs. The stairs fell into the fire behind them. Back in the street, he gave the girl back to her parents. "You did well, son," said a firefighter. Another firefighter came up. "Someone on the 4th floor didn't get out." Peter heard this, and he felt so bad. The next day, Peter got a message from Aunt May. When he arrived at her house, there were boxes of things all over the garden. "What's going on?" he asked. "The bank gave me another few weeks," she explained. "But I'm moving on. I found a small flat." "Why didn't you tell me?" "I can look after myself, Peter," said Aunt May. "And young Henry Jackson from across the street is helping me. He's carrying my boxes, and I'm paying him $5. "Listen, about my last visit," Peter started to say. "We don't need to talk about it," said Aunt May. "It was difficult for you to tell me, so thank you. And I love you, Peter." Young Henry Jackson came for another box. "Hi, Henry," said Peter. "You take Spider-Man's pictures, right?" Henry said. "Where is he?" He, wanted to try other things." "He'll be back, right?" asked Henry. "I don't know," answered Peter. "Henry wants to be Spider-Man when he grows up," said Aunt May. "Children like Henry need a hero. We all do. And I believe there's a hero in all of us, making us do the right thing." Does she know? Thought Peter. Back in the city, Peter took a lift to the top of a tall building. Do I still have a hero inside me? He asked himself. He looked across to the next building. I can do it, he thought. He ran fast to the edge of the roof and jumped. He flew across towards the next building. He felt great. Woohoo! I'm back! I'm back! He shouted. But then he started to fall. Down he went, faster and faster. Luckily, there were washing lines between the buildings. He caught one and swung down the rest of the way. He crashed into a wall and fell between two cars. Oh, my back! My back! He cried. John Jameson and MJ were sitting in MJ's flat. They were getting married soon, and they were talking about their big day. Don't you want to invite your friend, the photographer? Asked John. He's not my friend. He's just a really stupid guy, said MJ. She came over to John and looked into his eyes. What was she looking for? Put your head back for me, she said to him. Then she kissed him. Once, a long time ago, she kissed Spider-Man this way. This time wasn't as good. MJ sat in the window of a cafe with a cup of coffee. Peter walked in. Hi, said Peter. Thanks for coming, MJ smiled. Is everything okay? Asked Peter. MJ found it hard to answer. Do you remember, after my play at the theatre, You were different that night. I didn't want to listen, but I've thought about it. MJ looked into Peter's eyes, but Peter looked away quickly. Listen, he said. There's more for me to say. I can't be there for you, MJ. Do you love me or not? She asked. I don't, his mouth said. His eyes said something different. MJ moved closer to Peter. Kiss me, she said quietly. I need to know something, just one kiss. MJ closed her eyes and moved towards Peter. Peter wanted to kiss her so much, but he was listening to his spider sense. Something terrible was going to happen. Suddenly he took MJ in his arms. He pulled her with him to the floor. Half a second later, a car crashed through the big glass window of the cafe. The car turned over above their heads, then crashed into the floor behind them. They were still alive. Then they heard a loud noise. Thump! And then again. Thump! In the street outside, people were running and crying out. Then Doc Ock appeared in front of them. Peter Parker, he smiled. And the girlfriend. What do you want? Asked Peter. Suddenly a metal arm moved forward and lifted Peter up. I want your friend Spider-Man, said Ock. Tell him to meet me at the West Side Tower at 3 o'clock. But I don't know where he is, said Peter. Find him, or I'll kill her. He pointed at MJ. Then he lifted MJ in his metal arms and disappeared through the streets of the city. Robbie Robertson walked into Jameson's office at the Daily Bugle. There's still no news about MJ, he said. Sorry, Jonah. It's all my fault, said Jameson. He was thinking about the Spider-Man stories in the Daily Bugle. I drove Spider-Man away. Spider-Man was a hero, he said. He turned to look at Spider-Man's clothes on his office wall. Then he turned back and said, Spider-Man was... Suddenly, there was a sound like the wind. Jonah turned to look. Spider-Man's clothes were gone, and in their place was a web, a very big web, and a message from Spider-Man. Spider-Man was a criminal, shouted Jameson. Chapter 10. The L Train. Peter put on his Spider-Man clothes. They felt right. He wasn't thinking about his problems now. He was only thinking about MJ. And now there was no problem with his webbing. He jumped off the roof of the Daily Bugle and swung through Manhattan. Spider-Man was back. He swung through the tall buildings until he arrived at the West Side Tower. It was 3 o'clock, and Doc Ock was waiting for him. Where is she? Called Spider-Man. She'll be fine, said Ock. Let's talk. A metal arm swung at Spider-Man from the right. Another swung from the left. Spider-Man was falling, fast. He shot some webbing onto the tower. Then he shot some webbing at Ock and pulled hard. Ock and Spider-Man fell together, right onto the top of an L train. Spider-Man and Doc Ock fought each other on top of the train. Ock broke the train windows and took 2 people with his metal arms. He threw the people down to the street below. Spider-Man quickly made webs and caught the people. Then Ock moved to the front of the train. Smash! One of his metal arms broke the front window of the train, and the driver cried out. Then the arm broke the train controls. Now the train was going faster and faster. It was going to crash. Spider-Man had to save the passengers, and Ock knew this. He smiled at Spider-Man and jumped off the train. Spider-Man used his spider sense to look ahead. The end of the line was very near, and it was high above the water. He shot webbing onto a building on one side and a building on the other side. But the webbing just pulled off bits from both buildings. Then Spider-Man shot webbing onto every building. He held all the lines of webbing in his hands. His body was ready to break. The train reached the end of the line and stopped just in time. The passengers pulled Spider-Man into the train. They lifted him above their heads. Very carefully, they put him on the floor. Then, slowly, Peter opened his eyes. He saw lots of faces looking down at him, faces of men, women and children. And Spider-Man was their hero. Slowly, Spider-Man stood up. But just then, Doc Ock appeared. He pushed Spider-Man to the floor, and this time, Spider-Man couldn't get up. It was a stormy night, and Harry was drinking in his father's old room. Suddenly, he turned around, and Doc Ock was standing there, with Spider-Man in his arms. Ock dropped Spider-Man onto a sofa. "And the tritium?" he asked. Harry unlocked a secret cupboard. A long metal arm pushed Harry away and took out the tritium. Then Ock disappeared quickly into the storm. Harry moved slowly towards Spider-Man. He took a knife from his father's desk. His face was white and angry. He lifted the knife above Spider-Man. "First, let's see your face," he said. "I can look into your eyes as you die." In the light from the storm, Harry looked at the true face of Spider-Man. He stood back and dropped the knife. "Peter! No, it can't be!" Peter looked into Harry's eyes. He got up quickly. "Harry," he said, "where is she?" Peter was only interested in one thing. "He's got MJ!" "No!" Harry couldn't believe it. "He only wanted the tritium!" "Tritium?" shouted Peter. "He's building the reactor again. When that happens, she'll die, and half of New York will die too." "Peter, you killed my father." "There are bigger things happening right now," said Peter. "Harry, please, I have to stop him." Chapter 11. The Fireball. In the building on the river, metal cables held MJ to the wall. "You've got everything you need," she shouted at Doc Ock. "Now let me go." "I can't let you go. You'll call the police." Ock started a fusion reaction. A small ball of fire appeared in the center of the reactor. It started to grow. High above MJ, someone climbed quietly into the building. "Surprise!" called a soft voice. MJ looked up. It was Spider-Man. Suddenly, a metal arm swung towards Spider-Man and he jumped to the floor. "Stop the reactor, Ock," said Spider-Man. "You're going to hurt a lot more people this time." He tried to jump over Ock to the reactor's cables, but two metal arms threw him through the roof and out of the building. Moments later, Spider-Man swung back in. He hit Ock hard with both feet. They both went down through the floor into the water. The ball of fire was bigger now. It started pulling metal into its center. It pulled the metal cables around MJ. She screamed as her body flew towards the fireball. Spider-Man shot webbing at her and pulled her back from danger. "Run!" he shouted to MJ. A metal arm lifted Spider-Man up and threw him to the floor. Ock then lifted him up by the foot. A knife came out of one of the metal arms. Ock was going to kill Spider-Man. Spider-Man shot webbing around the reactor cables and pulled. As the cables touched one of the metal arms, the energy from the fireball went into Ock. He flew back and crashed onto the floor. At last, Spider-Man pulled the cables out of the wall. He looked at the reactor. It was still going. It didn't need the cables anymore. It was getting bigger and bigger. "Dr. Octavius!" called Spider-Man. Peter tried to think. He showed his real face to Otto. "Peter Parker," smiled Otto. "Brilliant, but lazy." "We must stop the reactor," Peter said. "I can't stop it," said Otto sadly. "I won't stop it." "You once told me we must use science for the good of the world." "These arms have changed you," said Peter. "Don't listen to them." Peter was right. Otto knew that. Fusion was his dream, but he was ready to leave his dream now. "Listen to me now," Otto shouted at the arms. "Listen to me." At last, he could control the metal arms. "Now, how do I stop the reactor?" asked Peter. "Tell me." "We can't stop it," said Otto. "But maybe the river. Drop it in the river." Peter turned to the reactor, but a metal arm caught him. "I'll do it," Otto said. Peter turned to MJ. She almost cried when she saw the true face of Spider-Man. It was Peter. Now she understood everything. Suddenly there was a terrible noise above them. A wall was falling towards MJ. She cried out, and Spider-Man was there. He stopped the wall with his back. "Hi," said Peter. "This is really heavy." Peter was strong, but he couldn't hold the wall much longer. "MJ, if we die," he started to say. "You do love me," MJ finished his sentence for him. "I do." Peter gave one great push and threw the wall back. Then he jumped up with MJ in his arms, and they swung out of the building. Down below on the river, Otto stood alone with the reactor. "I won't die a bad man," Otto said to himself. Then he, the arms, and the reactor fell deep into the river. It was all over. Peter and MJ were in a spiderweb high above the river. "I think I always knew," said MJ. "Then you know we can't be together. People will always want to kill me. If you're with Spider-Man, you're always in danger. I will always be Spider-Man. You and I can never be together." MJ looked sadly into Peter's eyes. Then he gave her a line of webbing, and he moved her slowly down to a boat below. John Jameson was there. He ran up to MJ and took her in his arms. But MJ was still looking at Spider-Man high above them.